Hi, everybody. Welcome to your Wednesday market report. My name is Lee Honish, and welcome one and all to our Wednesday wide open call. This goes out to all our lists. We stream it out live on Facebook. As always, just Google Home Advocates and find out about how you can work with distressed property owners. Information's right on the front page. Get yourself on Google page one, give yourself a position to work from to get yourself new listings. With all of that said, I am joined on the call by Fred Solomon. He is a broker in Southern California. How are you, Fred?
I'm doing good. Much better than yesterday.
Yeah, fantastically. Yeah, go ahead, Fred.
Oh no, I'm doing great. I'm happy, and I'm a senior citizen now, so I qualify for shit.
Double nickels. It's my next one. My next one is double nickels. And if you're looking at this video going, there's no way Lee's about to be 55. Thank you for thinking that. Thank you. I appreciate that. At least I want to believe that in my own mind.
Yeah, you look good for your age, Lee. That's part of life, is just staying, young looking and
it's going to catch up to me. It's the fighter mentality. At some point, I'm going to not be able to take a punch when I practice, or somebody will throw me into a wall and I'll have a concussion, and I will suddenly, that'll be the end of it. For those that do this call a long time, every once in a while, I'll let my hair grow in, or my goatee and my beard. There's a lot of gray. There's a substantial level of gray if I allowed it to grow in. So I'm just happy to be here, be a part of the team, and God willing, just do my part for the Durham Baseball Club. That's a great joke if anybody actually gets it. So we will talk about the market today, and there is a little bit of news because a bunch of housing reports came out, and, Fed Chief Powell, the person who is trying to change the boat as we speak, is going to speak today at the Brookings Institute here shortly, where he will probably crap all over real estate and real estate prices. Again, last time he gave a public report, Fred, as I recall, he was not very fond of overpriced real estate.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, the Fed has clearly stated that we're in a housing recession, and they want prices of real estate to drop. That's very evident. And the way they're going to do that is I think Amazon laying off 10,000 people. You got to follow the big box stores, right? You got to follow the Amazons. You got to follow the Walmarts. When retail is down, which it is huge right now, except for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I mean,
okay. And that's the big debate, right? So the big debate right now is, wow, $20 billion in sales. Look at it. And one person actually said, we're not adjusting for inflation. And I agree. Once it's adjusted for inflation, they're actually saying this will be the weakest buying season. And almost all of the purchase power is being put on payment plans. It's being put on per pays and these third-party companies that do financing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could definitely see that. The disposable income is an issue, because when wages are growing at 5 and 6% and inflation's at 7.7%, that disparity affects a lot of people's pocketbooks. And 1% difference on a national level doesn't really show what's truly happening in people's actual households. And household income is a major concern. And that is, I talked to a guy yesterday, and I was telling him about the DEF fluid situation. And I showed him this video of the pilot and Flying J, the CEO, was talking in front of Congress and telling Congress, what's going to happen. And this was a YouTube video, and I said, here, feast your eyes on this. And I said, this is the problem, And this is why we have supply chain inflation right now. And this is the problem in America that no one is talking about, right? We're talking about strikes with, train, Union Pacific and stuff like that. That's, who controls all that stuff is BlackRock and the hedge funds. And so these guys are all about letting gas prices go through the roof. And the only reason gas prices are down right now is because of the Mississippi River barge, drought, and barges can't go down the river. And also because of the trucking industry and the diesel fuel. And that is what is causing all this inflation. Now, with these train companies going on strike, I'm sorry, there is no way that this problem is going to go away. And as great as the CPI index coming down to 7.7% from 8.5 or whatever we were at, as great as that is, it's still going to be a problem for inflation. But, I'm talking to my buddies, like Aaron Mazzrillo. He owns 40, 50 properties. And he said he would put something up on Zillow, and he would have, 3 text messages within 2 minutes and 100 applications within 24 hours. Now he says, I'm getting 3 calls in 24 hours. So it has gone from insanity to barely nothing. And this is exactly what he was doing 6 months ago, 9 months ago, when he would put one of his properties up for rent. So things are slowing down. It is happening right now.
Okay, let's use the correct terminology, Fred. We in the media business like to say softening. We like the word softening. In fact, those are the stories we're going to cover here this morning. Because we did have a couple of reports, it is a unique opportunity to look at a tale of two sides, as they say, in discussing the setup and the way the market is viewed and what's going on. I have notoriously or frequently said, whatever terminology you want to use, this time of year, we tend to not talk about real economic issues. I don't think they can ignore certain topics. And I think they're topics that need to be made aware of and discussed within this group, because I think they affect real estate transactions day to day. And you need to be aware of them. I think there are going to be discussions that every person on this call or watching this video is going to have with clients, and you need to be completely aware of it and how to combat it when doing your marketing or looking to work with new sellers. And the number one overwhelming theme, in my humble opinion, is the market is, quote unquote, let me use air quotes, softening, which has been going on for approximately 4 months, where it was a noted thing. Because we are in the holiday season, nobody's going to talk about it. We are having tremendous storms on the East Coast, which is affecting travel and affecting real estate transactions. These are things that need to be discussed as well. So action-wise, for anybody who wants to continue in the world of real estate, you may have jumped on. I got to say this. If you jumped on while the market was hot and you did really good, good for you. Hopefully you invested that money into marketing and positioning and creating content, which we almost ad nauseum. I suppose if you're watching this as a YouTube video, watch one of these videos that pops up in the window. That's how that works. But we've talked about it. Content is king right now. There isn't very much of it. And when actual news comes out this time of year, it's very minimalistic. It will usually be written because most people don't read. The videos that come out will not be mainstream Fox, CNN. They will be things like Yahoo News that will get a limited number of views, because people, generally speaking, I heard this yesterday, and I don't know who was talking about it. Somebody was talking about the way the news really works. It's either a puff piece or a hit piece. That's pretty much all anybody ever want to talk about. During the holiday season, it's predominantly that way. It is predominantly a puff piece or a hit piece, or, the if it bleeds, it leads. So you'll see more about shootings, sadly. You will see more about things of that nature that aren't economically based, because everybody wants you to keep being a part of the infamous $20 billion spend, Fred. Keep spending money, keep borrowing money, keep spending, keep the economy going. We got to make the administration look good. And that's really what it comes down to. That's not a conspiracy theory on my part. At the end of the day, the United States is based on every one of us spending money. It's the way the dollar works. It's the way the economy works. And up until about 4 months ago, a lot of that was based on real estate. The overall growth, or at least what made the economy look so good, was based on real estate transactions, the amount of equity people had, and a lot of other contributing factors. I actually watched a piece yesterday, Fred, on the stock market that was so freaking technical. And this was on, I don't know, one of the channels like MSNBC or one of those, or Fox, doesn't matter. But it was literally one of the most technical explanations of the market that a regular person could not follow. I mean, I physically had to watch it twice, and I like to think of myself as at least someone who kind of gets how everything works. But these guys were talking at a really high level. And why is that? Why isn't it a puff piece? Well, what they were discussing was the inevitable and continued decline of the stock market, which almost everybody's predicting that, in general, stock prices are going to continue to go down. That's part of the Fed raising the rate. And this was a very high level conversation. Like I'll be real. Let me be fair. 20% of the people watching it maybe understood it, maybe. So from your perspective, Fred, you've been in media a long time. Why would it be such a technical discussion when it's such a big item like the stock market's going to continue to go down into next year for a while?
Anytime you make a prediction, you either back it up with facts or you blow it out of your and then fill in the blank. So when people get technical, we get technical on these calls. We get pretty technical,
Well, and that's a long-standing. I refuse to do it. I refuse to make this easy. I don't. Again, whatever you put out is what you're going to get back. And I would say this to everybody, especially in regards to marketing. The one thing I've learned is you've got a choice. And I see it when I go to networking events here in Las Vegas. I have a choice when I go to a marketing event. I've watched other people who do marketing for a living, just like me. And I can market anything. I've broken the available codes that are out there. I've got plenty of videos to back it up. Getting indexed on Google in 3 days. All of these things have been done. And I've done them literally live in real time. There's no reinventing the wheel. There's only watching algorithms these days. And I make it a mental choice not to make it a vanilla message. I like to think of myself as a gold medal ribbon type ice cream over at Baskin Robbins. Shout out to Baskin Robbins. And here's why. I want, there's got to be some variety. You've got to, I think on a general level, our discussions of the market, our discussions of marketing have moments of, here's something simple you can do. And what's amazing for me to watch is watching people that don't have any skill at these topics be able to do them, which we did. I've taken over some of those projects, and they did a fantastic job. I'm very proud of them for them doing it. What it really comes down to is it's what you want to attract. And I want to attract real estate agents and, investors that get it. There's nothing more frustrating as someone who has spoken and been in this industry. Job-wise, this is the longest continuous job I've ever had. I tend to get bored real easy, and there's enough variety in my day that I don't, have any problem. But you can only work at a bank for so long as an exec or as an asset manager or as whatever. It gets boring. It's the same thing every day. It's just shuffling papers and going to meetings. So it's always like a 5 to 10 year, all right, where do I move up? What do I do next? What's the next bank kind of thing? This line of work, real estate agents, it's interesting watching people in real estate not adjust to the market. I also don't want to keep explaining it. And I've gotten frustrated, especially in my speakers days, of people are easily influenced by people in positions. Does that make sense? So if you're broker, the number one thing, and for people who know me a long time, this is one of my pet peeves, people who walk up to me and say, well, my broker told me. Well, okay, how long did your broker work in a bank? And how long was he an executive? And how long was he an asset manager? And how many meetings did he set in to know exactly the mindset of how a bank operates in regards to dealing with defaulted properties? Well, he's never done that. Then why would you listen to him? I was told this is illegal. By who? Your mom? I mean, Scooby-Doo? To me, and that was almost perfect, Fred. Can we time that out again? The dog barking on Scooby-Doo is almost as perfect as it gets in my universe. And that's kind of the reality. And so I, to be honest, I think we're right in the middle. I think we do it both ways in a long drawn out. I think our technical data is first rate. It's done without bias. I make that a point of using what people call right or left slanted media. But secondly, I think we cover fair ground. I think we are one of the few. I'm not trying to tell you my story or Fred's story to everybody out here before we talk about it, because we're going to do it right now. I think we're telling the story based on the data that is provided. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Here's the reason why they go and say, about my broker this or my broker that. So I have a real easy way to help people understand what I'm going to say. So if you had an intruder inside of your home, the first thing that you're going to do, and oh my God, my buddy last night showed me a homeless gal come inside of his home while he was there, and they kept knocking and knocking, and literally the person came inside his home and saying, weird stuff. Oh, they're going to shoot me. They're going to shoot, just whatever, just all freaked out. And, there's a lot of homeless people in downtown Palm Springs. So that's what happened. Some homeless person comes inside of his house. So what is the first thing that my buddy would do? I'll tell you what he did. We've gone shooting AR-15s together. I mean, he has an enormous amount of gun collection. Huge. He loves guns. And I went shooting with him, and it's pretty freaking fun to do that out in the desert, right? It's desert life. So anyways, the first thing that he does is he grabs his gun and he says, I don't think you should belong here, right? Can you please leave? Otherwise, things are going to end up poorly for you. And so, of course, the person turns around and gets out of his house. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to defend yourself, right? Well, what else do people defend? My attorney's the best attorney ever. There's no one better than my attorney. I'm going to sick my attorney on you, right? And if someone says something bad about your attorney, what are you going to do? You're going to defend your attorney like you would defend your home if someone broke into your house. That's what people do. they defend people they trust, right? If they don't trust them, they're not going to defend them. But apparently, people trust their brokers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be working there, because then they wouldn't get their commission checks after they close deals if they didn't trust their broker. So they're going to trust what they say. And that's not always a smart thing to do, especially if they don't have legitimate knowledge in that area. So when we hear stuff that gets technical or whatever we say, don't always trust Lee and I. Go out and do your own research. There's some people in this group that are smart enough to figure some stuff out. You know, I've learned stuff from Brendan. I know Terrell's really smart. I know, who else? Marvin. Who else have I learned stuff from in this group that I'm just thinking of off the top of my head? But anyways, I'm just saying, we can all learn from each other. No one's smarter than one other person. I just look at the data and I can analyze it and I can see clearly what I see. And to me, it's like black and white and the writing's on the wall. And it's really easy to pinpoint what I think is going to happen. And we did that last year, Lee and I. And we weren't necessarily 100% right, because the default, all the defaults.
Oh, no, I didn't know about deferrals. I did not know. I did not know that deferrals were a thing.
I talked about it and I said we were seeing it, but I didn't know or think that they were going to just automatically do that, right? I mean, the government had to secretly say to these, loan servicing companies, hey, we're going to hook you up. We're going to take care of you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
We'll write you a check. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the dangle of don't worry about it. We'll write a check.
Yeah, but there's no way that the banks aren't going to foreclose on you if you are $30,000 in default. And then it doesn't even go on your credit report as a late payment. That's freaking... It's
mind-boggling. It's so... No.
That has never happened before in history. I mean, now that might be a very bold statement to say something like that, but come on. That is freaking amazing what they did. And it's, to this day, still mind-boggling. Obviously, they have to pay the money back, but what's the interest rate on that money? It's called 0%. There's no late fees. There's no notice of default being filed. I'm surprised that people are filing notice of defaults now.
Yeah, it's picking up again. It's picking up substantially, and it started in the fourth quarter. Yes, more year over year, and we covered this a few weeks ago. That's a very real thing. Let's cover the news so that everybody's sort of kept on time. You can stay longer. We do turn off the recorders. If you're watching this on Facebook and you want to get involved in the conversation, please, by all means, click the link, join here. As soon as we cover the updates in the news, we turn off the recorders and I can talk a lot more off the record. So let's move over to the screen share, Fred, and get everybody their update, shall we? I mean, that seems fair to me. Let's hope for the best and systems don't crash, which, if you are a long-standing watcher of this, you never know. God, I love that Windows update. So, sure, everything looks great. Everything looks great. What you're looking at is the Home Advocates website. Feel free to visit there. Just type in 2 words, Home Advocates, and you can find out about our program and working with distressed property owners. And trust me, there are distressed property owners, some that don't know it, but there are quite a few distressed property owners that are out there. There's also a list of everybody that's involved. Somebody asked me, is it okay if I talk to one of them before I join? Well, yeah, their email's right there. Knock yourself out. I can't stop you from sending an email to anybody, but they're all here. They're all available. A lot of these people have been with me for a very long time. Even Fred's information is available right here as well, including my own. So if you have any questions, feel free to do that. Let's jump in to the news. I want to show the single most graphic representation of inflation that I can do. And I'm going to do it because it makes me happy. And it's from an email that I got. And if you're looking at this going, what's the big deal of a Der Wiener Schnitzel ad, $5, 5 chili dogs or 5 corn dogs for $7.95? You know the history on this, Fred? Do you know what the $5 chili dog or corn dog used to be? And not long ago, within the last couple of years.
5 for $5, right?
5 for $5, right? So for those of you who don't believe that everything's gone up by about 20 or 30%, that's a pretty graphic representation, Fred. That to me this is literally, I know if you're looking at this going, what are you talking about? This is inflation in a nutshell. This is the 5 for $5 deal that has been the 5 for $5 deal forever up until a very short time ago. And now it's 5 for $8. What the hell happened? That's crazy to me, Fred. When I saw it this morning, I went, wow. And by the way, with the notation, it's probably not even at every location. If I read the small print, prices may vary. They can actually charge more. And we're not including sales tax. The old 5 for $5 deal, I think you really could walk up and it was a straight 5 for $5 swap. Maybe tax wasn't included, but to me, that's right where the economy is. So what is the world talking about at the moment? What are the big stories? I don't think they can avoid talking about the rail strike, and that is a huge news story. So let's talk about this for a quick second and what that means to real estate. How impactful would it be if we actually had a rail strike, Fred? I mean, what would that mean to the economy? What would it mean to real estate? I mean, how upside down would the world get from your perspective?
I'm not exactly sure how much it would affect prices by, but it's going to affect inflation, and that's going to cause interest rates to go up. And so then we have people losing jobs and inflation at the same time. Now we're back to 1982 all over again, with the economy losing jobs and inflation going through the roof. That is when it's going to get really ugly. And that's when I can see all these things that Michael Burry, and how you
the infamous everything bubble. Well, yeah, so, if there's a rail strike, guaranteed. The one that I have not seen, that I have not heard in quite a while, I heard it when this first came up. They're estimating close to 1 million people being laid off a day if there's a rail strike, because companies will have to cut back so substantially. I don't know if that was an actual articulated number, but it would be devastating, Fred. This literally, hey, look, if you think nobody's buying right now, let me tell you what a rail strike does when everybody starts losing their job because there's no product to sell, or Walmart's going to cut back to 5 people, whatever it is. Oh, you want to see real estate prices tank. It would be a trickle effect. I don't know how long it would take, but I mean, it would have to all roll downhill, wouldn't it?
Well, again, it comes down to inflation, and it comes down to higher interest rates. And then it comes down to home prices dropping because of that. And then it comes down to people losing jobs. And if you have a job, you can pay rent. And if you don't have a job, you're sleeping on mom and dad's couch. So that's when it's going to get ugly. That's when I can see it really getting ugly. If the economy starts losing jobs and we still have inflation and it's out of control because of what they're doing to cause this to happen, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's all crazy. I think it's all this scares me the most. And if this happens because politics get involved or, whatever, it will be devastating to the economy at a point where it's extremely fragile. I'm sure this will come up as a topic for the Fed chief. I don't think it's going to keep him from doing his 0.75 point raise, but boy, let me tell you how many people reported this week about him not raising the rate and halting and discussing that. I don't expect that, but that takes us to the latest update. Yahoo News is the only one who created actual content on this, and that's U.S. home prices. So let's take it away with the U.S. home prices. 2 reports came out.
Get you up to speed now. Some economic data out today. First up, higher interest rates again reflected in falling home prices. The Case-Shiller Index, which measures home prices across the country, fell 1% from August to September. The index down 2.6% over the past 3 months. However, pull back a little bit. Home prices still 10.6% higher than they were a year ago. All in all, pretty good number if you're a homeowner. We also got
it's still up, Fred. Still up 10. Okay. So let me jump ahead in this because there were 2 reports that came out yesterday. And yes, Case-Shiller came out and FHFA created their report. So let's go with hey, everything's still great, right? Year over year. This is one of those reports. This showed up in my email box. The headline's pretty strong. 2 housing report. It's the same one I used today for marketing today's event. The housing market softening. But if you read the story, it's actually the second part that he talked about on that video, which is, well, year over year, we're up. They actually included it. When in fact, if you read through this, because I doubt anybody reads beyond the first paragraph, FHFA showing a decline, Case-Shiller showing declines. I even went to the trouble of pulling up Zillow housing data and looking at their charts. If you look at home value indexes, Fred, year over year, Miami's still up 23.2% year over year. That's fantastic. I mean, if you go all the way down, everybody is still up. And then you look at things at the bottom of the list, like San Francisco. Well, it's only up 2% year over year. That's one of the biggest, hottest markets in the world, including Austin, Texas. At one point, Los Angeles was a 20% marketplace. It's down to 5%. You have to look at this from perspectives. And if you look at month over month, I really like this chart from Zillow. This is one of my favorites. Let's do month over month. So let's start at the top. Well, if you look at it, we're still gaining in key areas like Milwaukee. I mean, Los Angeles gained almost 0.5% in appreciation. Yeah, well, okay, I guess. But if you look at it, the number of negative markets now, Orlando, Phoenix, Tampa, Salt Lake, Detroit, New York, Miami, which was the single hottest market. Look at the markets that are going up into the negative zone. Denver's declining. And the number one declining markets, well, that would be Las Vegas, Fred. Las Vegas all by itself is the number one declining market, which I've documented on a few of these calls, followed by Austin, which was the hottest real estate on the planet. It's where most everybody in LA who was a celebrity moved out to. They moved out to Austin. Well, it's in the negative zone. All those people who bought at the top of the market will shortly be in a negative equity position if they bought within the last couple of years. And look at these markets. Boston, these are major markets. San Diego, San Antonio. These aren't fluff markets. These aren't throwaways. The ones at the top, I kind of get. I mean, hey, look, LA's still on the list to a degree. St. Louis is still on the list. Riverside made the list. But that gap is going down slowly but surely month over month. And again, when talking about these things, by the way, you can download this. How simple is that, Fred? Make it into a PDF. Use it. Enjoy it. Month over month when we talk about these things. Where do you stand on this whole Well, we can tell the year over year story. We can tell the year over year story, right? We can paint a rosy market. Miami still year over year, 23.26%. But the day-to-day real estate transactions, the value's going down. How do you explain that to someone in that market? And then you get to places like Las Vegas, where they can easily look this data up and go, oh, well, year over year, Las Vegas is still up 8%. Yeah, but for the last 4 months, it's been losing about 3%. It's about $4,000 a month, plus or minus. They gained so much. So what story do you want to tell your clients? From your perspective, you like to tell both sides of the story, correct?
Yeah, well, I don't like to spin it any one direction, but I will always tell my opinion because people will always ask for it. And they literally tell me, Fred, what do you think is going to happen? And I mean, this isn't not just clients. This is previous employees that are, working at different companies or whatever they do. I've been more right than wrong, and I'm not always right. I wasn't right about the interest rates going up as much as they did this year. You were spot on. You said 7 or 8%, and shoot, we got up to 7.25. Now we're in the low sixes again. But the way I see it, I could easily see these interest rates going back up again based on this rail strike. So it's serious. It's a serious issue. It's going to affect real estate. And as soon as we see the economy start losing jobs and interest rates are higher and sales are down, guess what's going to happen to real estate prices? They're coming down.
Right. And it's a good distraction.
It's our job. It's our job to let our clients know that they need to watch the job market. And if they see unemployment creep up and people start losing jobs, then you better put that darn for sale sign on that home yesterday. And it all comes down to right now is we're seeing inventory increase. So people are getting, remember the conversation I had? I said, well, Mary Lou, I think it's about time that we should sell that house because the way I see it, prices them be coming down. I know that's a terrible accent, but I'm sorry. As soon as they have that conversation at the dinner table, that they feel that that's what's going to happen to real estate prices. If that's what everybody feels, guess what's going to happen to real estate prices? It's actually going to happen. It's like The Secret. If you think it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen. Right?
Yes. For a fact that I live by that mentality, but 100%.
But holy God, that was pretty funny what I did right there. I didn't expect myself to do that, but I had a good time doing it. And that's the same conversation. I do that voice in front of my clients too. And it's just because I'm passionate about what I think. And I laugh about it after I do it. But while I'm doing it, I can't help myself. I have to do it because that's what I see. And I want people to know that when middle America or when some dude and his wife are talking at the dinner table and they're having that conversation and they're out in the middle of Kalamazoo or wherever the hell they are, guess what? That's when it's going to happen. And
yeah.
So it's happening now.
It's happening in real time. And Zillow has position with your sellers and or buyers. And I think, again, I gave everybody who's here on the call a link to this. You can literally put this on your website. You can share it as a link. I don't know if I would do that. I'd probably download it as a picture and use it that way. It's amazing. It's amazing. This is, I hate to say it, Zillow has more position than real estate people talking about real estate. It's the number one website. It's not going to go away. They're not going to go out of business. They got out of the business of buying real estate. And why is that? They can look at their own charts. This is pretty substantial data. I think the Austin and Texas thing, I don't think those were ever predicted to be the hardest hit at the beginning. It was certainly other locations. And I believe I said New York, and it's been one of the slower rollouts. But you're looking at massive depreciation in Austin and Las Vegas, where these markets took way off during the pandemic period. But Raleigh's a big place. Columbus is a big place. These aren't small cities by any stretch of the imagination. And it's, again, do you want to tell the tale of what's happening right now? Or, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, you're still up. And this has been sort of the videos we've been shooting on the Red Calls as of lately, the content I've been shooting. And that content has been specifically, why are you doing pay later? Why are you using a 30% credit card? Why wouldn't you get an equity line if you own a house? Why wouldn't you, refinance? Why wouldn't you do it right now if you need to pay for the holidays right now? Because that equity won't be there tomorrow. Guarantee it. Miami, Florida is on a negative trend. They're going to lose part of that 20%. It's just going to happen. Same for Florida in general. These numbers are going down and down and down and down and down and down. I believe this started at 30% at its peak, and it's going down and down and down. If you want to keep telling that year over year story, it's great. If you're in real estate, year over year, you're doing fantastic. I like the fact that they've got the United States listed, the overall United States. You know what? We're still, and this is what we just heard the guy quote, overall, the United States is still up about 11%, 12%. Fantastic. Year over year. Well, okay, let's have a discussion. Where does the United States fall on month over month? Oh, it's dropping. And here's the thing. And here we go again. People listening to authoritative figures. Lawrence Yun, the economist for the National Association of Realtor, he thinks that appreciation is going to continue. Well, he bases it on this figure right here, the United States. And he thinks this is still going to be a positive number into next year. Why would he say it? It's still a positive number. And it will probably continue to be a positive number it will take the overall United States 2 or 3 months, or a really bad winter, but certainly 2 or 3 months before it shows up to get to zero. So, hey, and that's what he said. Going into 2023, I think prices are going to appreciate, just not as fast, but we will continue to show growth. He talks about a national number. Does that matter to Terrell in LA? Does that matter to me in Las Vegas when I'm talking to someone, or somebody in Boston or New York for Walker? That's not the story. The story is it's declining. These are very real figures from Zillow. I love this. I love this chart. And we're literally about 2 days away from the November chart to show up, and it's going to dramatically change again. And I guarantee it's not going to get quoted in December. If Zillow shows a change in these charts, don't expect to see this show up on the news, period. Go ahead, Fred.
You know what's awesome, Lee, is that this is something that I kept on saying every Facebook post that I could, right? And as much as it deserved to go viral, that post, this is the reason why I was saying it. And this, let me remind you, everybody, what I was saying. Zillow lost $880 million. They sold out. They sold out. They were a sellout. And do you know what? that means in the music industry if you're a sellout? Why don't you tell them, Lee? What's a
Means
sellout?
you're willing to cut your hair and play to the mainstream.
Okay, now let's ask ourselves, why would they sell out? Why would they sell out? Well, here's what they had that you, me, and the mailman down the street didn't have. And it's called data.
Right.
Data, data, data. And Wells Fargo had the same data. Data, data. Right? And the data was pointing in one direction, right? And the direction was down, 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 down. It was just going down.
It's just a housing recession, Fred. It's just a housing recession.
So that's great. But Wells Fargo said, whether it's a housing recession or not, forget it. We're not doing HELOCs. See ya. Bye. We're out of here. Party's over. Everybody get out. It's time to go. It's 2 o'clock.
And wait, and the one that everybody forgets, let's lay off our top executives that we can get and all these loan processors that have been here too long. Let's see how many people we can put out the front door and buy newbies for the coming market and cut down our overhead. They did that as well recently.
With that said, we know why they sold out, because they had the data and the news and their talking heads up at the top of the mountain, which I was on Sunday. I was off-roading. It was so much fun. When you're sitting on top of the mountain in the middle of the frickin' desert with a bunch of Jeeps that are all crazy, able to climb these crazy mountains, and you're looking straight up practically, and you're up there and you're looking down at all the peons, because that's what they treated everybody as. Well, in 2022, we expect real estate prices to increase 11%. That sounded like Richard Nixon.
Yeah, it did.
We expect, I'm doing my voices today. I don't know what the hell's got into me.
You're not a criminal. Yes.
So they expect, and I've provided the data and I provided the links to those articles in so many of my Facebook posts. Okay, we're selling everything, but here we go. We're expecting the prices to go up 11%. So question, you ask the average homeowner, hey, Mr. Homeowner, yes, do you think you're going to sell your house today if you knew that real estate prices were going to go up 11%? Let me think about that. Well, Mary Lou, she's not, you know what? I think it's a better idea to wait. So what do? They wait till the prices go up. After the prices go up, then they sell at the top of the market, right? Because if you're on $1 million home and the prices go up 11%, that's $110,000. And that $110,000 can be used to pay your real estate commission. So guess what? We're not selling yet. We're going to wait for the prices to go up a little. We think the prices are going to go up, so we're going to hold off a little bit, Mr. Solomon. But we really appreciate you coming over and showing us your listing presentation. And, we'll reach out to you when we're ready to sell. Right? How do you handle that?
Well, depends on which market you're in, but I'd certainly refer back to this. Let's just take something that's simplistic, like this particular report. Zillow, have you heard of it, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner? Why, yes, I have. Well, your home is located in a metro called Los Angeles. So you want to keep this off the market and wait it out at a 0.75% rate. Let's just go with a fair market value of what you're waiting for on the market. You can do it with this report. God forbid you fall into one of these categories, right? For me, it's easy. If I had a Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner who played that game with me, okay, you want to wait. Well, month over month, we're at a negative 2.35%. Let's use your Zillow home value. That's how you came up with your number, isn't it? Well, yes. How'd you know I use Zillow? It happens a lot in my industry. So your house is for $300,000. $300,000 times 2.35% is what it's losing per month. So you want to hold this off the market and wait it out when this number is actually exponentially increasing. What are you talking about? It's not increasing. Well, let's discuss it, shall we? In your market, I can show you. You want to wait it out. We're here in October. November numbers, by the way, will be out in this, the first week of December. But let's just say that they're at the median price of they're, right around this. I can show them that the values are decreasing. And at this rate, it's actually increasing at a faster rate. Okay. And what does the 2.3%? By the way, I can do the math. This is right about 2.36%. It's losing about 5 to 4. Yeah, it's losing 4 to 5 grand per month. I mean, it had a big jump here from September to October. It'll be interesting to see what the November number says, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. But based on this trend, we've already missed the top of the market in July. So do you want to wait till December or January or February or March and miss out on your, let's use their chart year over year, right? Let's go back to the year over year chart. You've got about 8% overall equity within the market, and that number is continuing to decline. These are very simple charts that people can explain very simply to people. How'd I do, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner? Do you really want to hold it off the market? Because you're going to miss out on this equity because this number is going to continue to go down.
But
seems pretty straightforward to me having that discussion, Fred.
Well, here's the thing, when we have that homeowner that says, well, I think prices are going to go up, you can show data and you can do this before you go on the appointment and whip it out and then go to the website and show these homeowners, look, I want to show you how I put this chart together. This chart was not put together by some media outlet.
It wasn't put together by me. I mean, that's even the strongest point, right?
That's my point. That's my point. So you understand what if I give somebody some data, the first thing that my brain does, trust but verify, 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 trust but verify. That's all I do. Trust me, but here, let me show you where I got the data from. Now, I'm not sure if that's a credible data source, but it is Zillow, right? And supposedly you would hope, you would think, you would be appreciative if they gave you correct data. And you're assuming that the data that they're giving you is correct. That's the hope in this matter. So assuming that the data that they're giving you is correct, here's a chart that I put together based on Zillow's own data. Oh, and by the way, let me tell you how Zillow operates. Okay, see this? They lost $880 million. Oh, see this where they said the prices of real estate were going to go up 11%. But what did they do with all their real estate holdings? Even though they said that, here they are selling everything through the back door. And here they want you to believe that real estate prices are going to go up 11%. So can you trust everybody that you talk to, including me? Okay, great. You trust me because we've done business together. So I've earned your trust. Thank you for trusting me. I promise I will respect that in the next hour that I'm visiting with you. But I want you to know that the way that I see this data is in this regard. And if you're seeing what I'm seeing, are you seeing the same writing on the wall that I'm seeing? So when should you sell? Now or tomorrow? And then I'm done. And I speak with a lot of passion when I talk to my clients because I can't help it. It's just me. I want people to have good information, and I want them to know that they're not always going to get that good information from anybody. So I'm going to be the most passionate person that they talk to out of all the people that they talk to. Now, I may not get the listing, but I guarantee you they believed what I said. I guarantee that. So our job is to convince our buyers what is the smartest decision for them in their position that they are currently in. And it's our job to relay that information. And we got to be able to read the data. We got to be able to put a chart together like what Lee's doing right now. Have Lee help you put this chart together before you go on a listing presentation. Have him put the chart together, whip that thing out. Here's what Lee does when he goes and talks to homeowners in default. He just shows them the notice of default. And that was his sales pitch. You're going into foreclosure. Ha. I got your NOD. And he's not maybe the most, of course, he softened up a bit. But when I first met him, that's what he did.
Yeah, yeah.
That
is exactly what I did. You had a choice. And in fact, I believe that my entire spiel in those days was, hey, look, when I don't pay, I don't get to see my daughter. When I don't pay, I don't get to live in the place I live in. I cannot understand the delusion of homeowners that want to do nothing, believing that no one's going to hurt me. Okay. And again, I'd say this to anybody who's in a deferral situation. I was an a-hole, Jane. Yes. I was a banker. Bankers are like, you have to become hardened to the process. It's no different than being someone who works at a mortuary. I know the comedy that happens down in the basement with those people because they're dealing with dead people every day. It's really hard. Morgue people are very much like that. Doing collections for a living, even as an executive, is still very... The number of foreclosures I've done, the number of stories I've heard, you have no idea. So you have to take the position of they have the same opportunity as Fred to pay their bills. Okay. I don't lose a lot of sleep when people go, oh, I didn't make my child support payment. So my husband or my wife won't let me see the child. Too bad. I'm in that situation. And trust me, you make the payment. That's just the way it is. And, that was agreed to. And I completely understand that position. So I don't really, if I were to make the mental note of not paying something, right, and know that I'm physically doing it, I would have to understand that there are repercussions for those actions. Period. Go ahead.
One thing I want to say is, yes, you're right. Of course, there's repercussions if you don't make your payments. But I want one thing why I always stuck with you, Lee, is because I learned a lot from you, and I'm a sponge, and I want to learn from people who are smarter than me. And at the time, you were smarter than me when it comes to defaults and all that. And I stuck to you like glue. I came to a lot of your presentations, if you remember. I just wanted to continue to learn. And even though your personality was a little,
abrasive. Let's go with abrasive.
Yeah. But I still, here's one thing that I learned from you is that I could trust you. And as soon as I felt that I could trust you, I'm like, I got to get associated with you somehow, some way. And here I am, 14 years later, or however long it's been, and we are still friends. I mean, we are legitimately friends with each other. And if I come to Vegas, we're definitely going to go play golf. And Lee is a good dude. Of course, we all have our stumbling things and get frustrated and whatever it is that happens.
Meltdowns. I melt down a lot.
Whatever it is. But thank God, I did everything I could when you had your last meltdown. I did everything. I did everything I could. I reached out to people that I thought would be impactful, that if they sent you a text message or something, that it would at least say, wow, why is everybody texting me right now? Yeah. And it was all my doing. I took 100% responsibility for that. And I'm glad I did it, because you know what? People need people like you. I am surprised that you don't have a bigger network because of the type of.
Oh no, I have a huge network. No. Please let me explain. I have a huge network, but when I go into, okay, and I'm going to say this for everybody, when you spend your life looking at negative things, the negative will consume you. That's my job. That's what I get paid for here. My job is to look at this data constantly, every day, track it, talk about it with people in individual markets, get boots on the ground information. It doesn't take long for it to literally overcome your thought process. And much like in the movie The Big Short, when he's literally in tears after walking out of, watching the news going, they didn't care. No, they knew they'd write a check. Like, he's so disappointed with the way that he sees the world being shaped, knowing full well that people would be bailed out in these. At the end of the day, everybody who's in a deferral is playing a game. Will the government bail them out? Because I guarantee that check's been dangled, right? And for all of us in real estate, we all rolled over for REOs going away. I'm going to say it definitively. NAR rolled over. Everybody rolled over on that topic. Just rolled over on REOs going away. Okay. That's a lot of real estate transactions that disappeared, just disappeared. And we're looking at another situation now where you're telling me that we're not going to do defaults at all. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how that would be. You're going to just make it go away by deferring their payment at zero interest and ultimately writing a check. People who don't pay, don't pay. They're going to continue to not pay. What are we going to do? Bankrupt our government? No, we'll write a check for them. That's not what Powell seems to be doing at the moment. He's not writing a check to bail these things out. He's made it abundantly clear that these numbers that you are looking at on the screen, and I guarantee that when he speaks today, he's going to talk about wanting to see more of this. He is. That's been his topic of debate when it comes to real estate. He talks about wanting more of this coming back down to earth. All right, let's say that I moved out to Austin from LA because I was tired of the crime, or San Diego, whatever the case may be, right? I move out to Austin. I buy at the height of the market because I can afford it, but I'm in Austin where it's a little cleaner, a little nicer, yada, yada, yada. Or Las Vegas for that matter, where it's a little dirtier, but it's still cheaper theoretically in the long run. To buy at the height of the market and to be losing approximately 2% per month on something that I invested in, that's a pretty bad investment, okay? If that was happening in the stock market, people would leave. If the overall stock market, every single stock, month over month, was losing 2%, people would sell that product and get out of it. And now you're telling me that this is all propped up on the fact that people who haven't paid, approximately 3 million of them, are just getting deferrals and crappy loan mods and whatever else to just, let's get it to next year. We'll figure it out next year. Oh, by the way, we got a rail strike. That's more important. Well, if you have, it's sad to me on a daily basis to watch people being manipulated when really you dangled in the news that I've got more value in my house, generationally wealth, going all the way back to last summer when John Oliver did a piece on it, that there's just tons of equity. And so what's everybody doing? Putting everything on per pay instead of using equity in their house. I'm literally baffled at the way people are behaving, because we've watched Zillow get out. We've watched Wells Fargo get out. We've watched real estate companies go out of business. For those of you who work with new builders, not one new builder that's going to tell you they're getting what they got a few months ago. They're doing nothing but reporting negative side. So when I encounter people going, oh, this is just a little lull, stop it already. Okay. It's substantially a growing thing. So I'm going to end on this, turn the recorders off, take questions, and help people out here or on the live call. How would I do this as an actual marketing piece? Take the link that I gave you. Okay. You could start. And again, here's how it's done by the pros. Forbes, this is the negative story. This is more of a discussion of month over month, right? as compared to the fluff piece on real estate news, which is primarily real estate professionals who get this email, and their discussion is year over year, right? That's their big sales pitch. They like the year over year number. Okay. You can tell either one of these stories. That's not the way I would do it. The way I was doing this, the way I would do it, and I'm going to do it, I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do it for the websites that I'm working on and the content I'm putting out. And I would start with something really simple like that person's website, right? Oh, for those of you who've been following the saga, look, Fred, it's back to 0 again. Oh, that was painful yesterday. I have to start over today on Las Vegas Realtor after getting a Google search. Painful. Because of that little lock mechanism. If you haven't watched, click the description and watch yesterday's video to watch me completely dismantle a page from scratch because it wasn't set up correctly so that it could have a certificate on it. I would start with the website. Okay, this is exactly how I would do it. And anyone who's in the group, feel free. Your information's right here on the front page. You are a part of this. It's part of what you invest in. And you should use it in your marketing. And this is exactly how I would do it. And in fact, I'm going to do this generically for each of the people that I do websites for. Hi, my name's Lee Honish. I was hired by Marvin Miles in the San Diego area. And he said, Lee, would you do me a favor as the economist for Home Advocates? Would you do something for that area? Everybody got it? Do you need me to do a new script for you? You can do it yourselves, right? Jane can do it, but let me do it because I've already got it all up. Let me reshoot that. Hi, everybody. My name is Lee Honish. I am the former head loss mitigator for IndyMac Bank's HELOC division. Lori Neville, who is a home advocate, just type in the words home and advocate. You can find her information right on the front page. She is our representative in Las Vegas. Lori has asked me to give you guys some market data, right, in regards to Las Vegas that might be helpful for you. Again, if you'd like to get a hold of Lori, just go to lasvegasrealtor.io and you can get her information and she will come over and share this data with you directly. So let's use something you guys are all familiar with, which is Zillow. This is Zillow research. As you look at the top at zillow.com/research/data. If you can't remember that, just go to Google and type in Zillow research. Wow, their stock's going up. You don't even have to spell it correctly. Okay. And if you look it up, it'll be right here at the top of the page. This is public information that they share with everybody where they track based on their numbers, your market. First thing you want to do is download their entire metro list. And what I like to do is narrow it down, this, for all of you watching this, to just my city. What you're looking at is from 2000 forward, the Las Vegas metro median price home value. Starting in July, prices started to go down. Well, what does that really mean for you as a homeowner? Well, let's look at it. If you're on the fence about selling your home, let's take a look at some charts. Year over year, you still have some value left in your home, approximately 8% to be exact, 8.31%. So right now, you still have value in your home. The problem is month over month, for those of you in the Las Vegas metro, understand you are in the number one depreciating market in the country. You're losing approximately 2.35% every single month on the value of your home. If you would like to find out about the equity in your home, give Lori a call. She will be more than happy to run over these numbers and tell you how much equity you have. Stop putting more bills onto your plate. Stop using 30% equity, 30% credit cards. Stop doing the 6-month payment plans for all of your gifts this holiday season. Why don't you take advantage of that equity? Because it's clearly going away. Give Lori a call. That's what I would shoot, Fred, if it were me. And then slap that bad boy all over social media and drive it all back to my website. That's the way I would do it from a marketing perspective. How was it?
Perfect. It's exactly, I'm not as talented as you in that area, so I couldn't do it, but I would pay you to do it for me because,
I've been thinking about doing generic, to be perfectly honest, for the rollout for the next phase, because I think the links are still live on Home Advocates. I think you can still technically sign up, but we're going to roll out to a different program away from the Platinum group in January. I would, if I get the time, I'd like to shoot like 10 very generic videos. You guys can drop your own pictures on there. For the people that I'm doing websites and data for, it's easier for me to, let's say Marvin's video for Marvin, when I'm, getting him on Google as quick as I can during this program that I'm running. By the way, information in the description, if anybody here is interested. Yes, I have been building websites and doing content for people. It's easier for me to shoot a video like that for Marvin on a daily basis. Like, it's so simple for me to shoot a 90-second video like this than go to the trouble of constantly like, oh, I got to search, I got to look up, I'm going to use this. You can use the Forbes piece, right? Right click, save the image, copy, cut, and paste, reuse it, stick it on your website kind of thing. That's great. Want to know what's even easier for Lee Honish? Shooting a video directly into a camera. Hey, Forbes is reporting right now that home prices fell another 0.8% nationally month over month. And this is based on the Case-Shiller index. What's that really mean to you? Let's take a look at those overall figures using Zillow housing data. Zillow, who got out of the market a long time ago, when looking at their number, is showing approximately the same thing based on their data. If you'd like to find out more for your own house, click the information down below or give one of my home advocates calling your local market. There's one listed right here. All of that works. That's not what's being done. Again, if you're not going to do it, you really should get me to do it for you. And apparently I just build insane websites at this point. I feel bad for Hardeep, but yes, that's the name of my VA who did way too much technical work yesterday. But with all of that said, I'm going to turn the people on Facebook off. Click the links in the description or Google Home Advocates or send me an email, leehonish@yahoo. That's my personal email address. You're not going to see that one in the description. So just remember leehonish@yahoo and send me a note. If you want help with marketing, text me 858-663-2537.
And just for people that are maybe watching this on Facebook or whatever.
Oh, I hit that one off already. Go ahead. I'm still recording though, Fred. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I think this is the best type of marketing that you can do because it's giving them the exact information that they need to know as a seller and why they should sell now rather than wait. And if they have a trigger, we were talking about the reasons why people sell and the reasons why people buy, and whatever their trigger is, they need to expedite that thought process and make it happen sooner rather than later if they're thinking about selling. So the first question that my buddy Dan says, when he goes on a listing appointment is, what brought me over to your house today? What caused you to want me to come by and talk to you about selling your home? And he finds out what that reason is. And he keeps that reason in the back of his mind. And he uses it when he needs to, but he doesn't like to throw it back in people's face or anything like that. But he wants to know what their trigger is so he can cater to their needs. And the needs are, I need to sell because of this. And that reason, he's working to solve their problem, whatever their problem is. And it may not be a problem. It may be a lifestyle adjustment. It may be, I want to move closer to the kids. I want to do this. I'm getting a job relocation, whatever it is. But you got to know their reason what brought me over to your house today, and then service their needs to the best of your ability, and truly feel inside your body that you are the best person for that job. Otherwise, you're in the wrong business. If you don't think you're the best person for them to talk to, because you're going to be honest, you're going to work your tail off for them, and you're going to do what you need to do to solve their problem or meet their needs, however it is, problem meaning they're in default, meeting their needs, meaning they want to live closer to their grandkids, and you want to sell the house before prices of real estate come down further. Meet their needs, solve their problems, do your job, answer your phone always, and leads laughs because he'll say, "Oh, Fred's on a phone call again. Oh, Fred muted it," because he knows that I always answer my calls, and I'll say, "Hey, I'm on a Zoom call right now. Let me call you back in about an hour." And you know what? That goes a long way rather than getting your voicemail. It really does.
I agree.
And every one of the people in this group should be doing the same darn thing. So sometimes I'll talk and I'll be my phone will ring and I'll finish up my thought real quick, and then Lee takes over and I can just answer the call, put it on mute, and then say, "Hey, I'm on a Zoom call. I'll call you back in an hour." Trust me, my clients appreciate me when Fred, you always answer your phone. Yes, I always answer my phone. And that is what people know about me. And I tell them, if I don't, call 911 because I've fallen and I can't get up kind of situation. Unfortunately, like what my dad was in yesterday, sad situation.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my spiel for all you guys. Go and get FHA and VA data from the last 2 years, I would say from February of 2020 through December or January of 2022. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, of 2021, sorry, February of 2020, all the way through, I would say, January of 2022, any FHA loan or VA loan, go get the data, send a marketing piece out to them and say, "Did you know?" And I'll help you with, I'm writing up a marketing piece myself right now. I'm going to do that.
I think this is like the date. The one thing I like about everything that's happening right now, the few places, and I'm going to end on this and turn the recorder off. For all of you wondering about, should I put a piece out? Should I put something up? Thanks to what few reports came out and what's really going on in the market right now, there's enough interest that if anybody catches wind of it, the local news will. So you'll see those reports come up. I've seen a few limited stories in that area, but this content's too good. I might wait on actual charts. I still think year over year is great. I just know that in the next couple of days of December, I'm going to get the November figures because they tend to update it within the first week or two. I don't think it's a 30-day carryover, but it's usually within the first week or two. This is good content. This is great. This is indisputable, solid, no slant. I got no slant, Mr. and Mrs. Las Vegas homeowner. I got no slant. Give Lori a call. You only have about 8% overall market value year over year. And that number is going down. Well, what do you mean? Well, it's not hard for me to pull up the prices and see that July was the height of the market and we've been going down. And that's close to $16,000 since July. Can you afford to lose out on $16,000 of value? How much did you spend on your holiday gifts? How much did you put on your credit cards at 30%? These are real discussions.
So if everybody doesn't do a post like this by the end of the day today, you're not marketing yourself well. Okay, that's it. Don't talk about it. Just
It's streaming now, thanks to these sources, thanks to Forbes, thanks to Real Estate News. Real Estate News is for realtors. This is going to stream. And by the way, the take that's going to be in the realtor world is going to be like NARS News. It's going to be the year over year figure. You know what? You're right. Year over year, we're up. That's not the full story. I would agree that year over year, the United States is still in the positive. What are we doing month over month? And what have we been doing since July when those figures have changed? Well, I can certainly look at it and tell you that the United States is dramatically shifting that particular figure. And whatever market that we're talking about, the appreciation levels are not the same year. Like, these were crazy numbers month over month. San Diego had crazy. To see the drop in San Diego month over month is wild to me, because I know what their month over month figures were when I was there. New York was the same way. San Francisco had insane month over month. Well, it's all changing. It's all changing. Okay, anything below 1%. And by the way, they were still talking that we're going to keep appreciating into next year. Well, what, year over year? You're right. Probably year over year for the first quarter, we're still up. But I don't think it's going to last that much longer, Fred. I got to be really honest. What are you going to start doing? Well, we've gone flat. We've gone flat. Because of the housing recession, we've gone flat. All right, now it's negative. No, we're still really technically flat. All right, well, we're at 0.1%. Well, it's still really flat. You're not really losing that much value in your home. What, when you get to 1%, it gets real? Or if you're in Las Vegas where you're talking $4,000 or $5,000 per month in equity, it's real. Well, and that's the reality of the way that it really is the difference between, this is the story we're telling realtors. Year over year, it's still up. Forbes, no, prices are dropping month to month. That's the core of their story. You can tell either story. I'll show you both. I don't care. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, to me, because they both tell the same story, in my humble opinion.
Let's just simplify it, Lee.
Yeah.
Read my Facebook post. I'm going to have it done by 7 or 8 o'clock tonight.
Cool.
Read my Facebook post. I'm going to use this chart and then copy it word for word, if you like. I'm going to write up something good. It's going to take me about 10 or 15 minutes to think it up, how I'm going to use it, but I'm going to write something good. But I'm going to tell you people, if you have a home in Sacramento, San Francisco, or San Diego, and you are thinking about selling,
what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Oof.
Let me show you some data. Okay. And I have data directly from Zillow, and I have charts. I can create these charts for you. It's going to show you what's going on. And if you're thinking about selling, I got to talk to you. I must talk to you. If you don't talk to me, you better talk to someone as knowledgeable as me about your area. And that's pretty much what I'm going to say. And then you can refer listings to people in those areas. You can just refer and get, right now, realtors are dying for a listing. So you can get a 50% referral fee on a listing today. So don't be afraid to go market in those areas. Okay. I gotta go. But I think today's call was so good.
Hold on, let me turn off